Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine being born in a place called Paradise, 1934.
Paradise, yeah. It sounds lovely, doesn't it?
It really does. Conjures up images of, perfect bliss. But for Alma Sweeney growing up in Salford, well, the reality was quite different, a real contrast.
Absolutely. And that tension, that difference between the name Paradise and what life was actually like, it grabs you right away.
Yeah.
It's sort of ironic, isn't it? This label, completely at odds with the working class life she knew, makes you think how that might have, shaped her view on things early on.
Exactly. And today, we're doing a deep dive into Alma's world, and we're using her own words, her personal memoir.
Which is fantastic.
It really is. It's like a direct line to her experiences, wartime Salford, building a business, raising a big family, all of it.
It's such a valuable way to understand history, isn't it? Not just facts and dates, but through one person's life, their own perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Her memoir gives us that firsthand account, the things that shaped her world and how she dealt with them.
So for you, the learner, our mission here is to pull out the really compelling stuff from Alma's journey.
Right.
We're looking at resilience. She faced real hardship. That entrepreneurial spirit she clearly had. And the family connections, how powerful they were.
Yeah, those threads run right through it.
We want to uncover the surprising details, but also the kind of universal themes you find in a personal story like this.
And we're sticking just to her memoir for this, Alma Sweeney's own account.
That's right. It keeps the focus tight, lets us see her life, her relationships, the changing times, all through her eyes.
Okay, so Paradise Salford. Let's go back there.
Yeah, the beginning. That ironically named place, her account really establishes this powerful sense of, place, doesn't it?
It really does. You immediately get the picture of this working class area in the 30s. Not pretty, maybe, but...
Full of life.
Exactly. Full of life, love, community. That comes through strongly, even with the poverty. And maybe that early experience, it gave her an appreciation for things that aren't, material.
You get a strong sense of her family straight away. Her mother sounds incredible.
A figure of immense strength, yeah.
And that work ethic, Alma definitely got that from her. 8 kids in total. Though sadly, 2, Harry and Lucy, died very young. Childhood illnesses.
Which was tragically common then.
And then her 3 older sisters, Edie, Lily, and Nellie, they all got married during the war.
Which hangs in the air a bit, knowing what comes later.
Those early losses, Harry and Lucy, before Alma was even born. It sets a tone, doesn't it? Hardship, but also resilience.
It really does. Losing 2 children, then facing the war. It speaks volumes about what families went through. You wonder how seeing that, experiencing that grief so early, shaped the family, shaped Alma.
And the sisters, Edie married a sailor, Lily a soldier.
Right.
And Nellie, she married a paratrooper. And little Alma had a crush on him.
Ah, her first love.
In that innocent childhood way, yeah. She even asked him to marry her. It's such a sweet little story.
It really is, that little bit of innocence against the backdrop of war. It's very touching. It grounds the big historical events and, personal feelings.
We also learn about her mother's first husband, survived the Great War, came home.
Only to die from the Spanish flu.
Exactly. And in the same year, her mother lost her own mother, too.
Wow. That's an almost unimaginable amount of loss in such a short time.
It really is.
You can see how that would forge incredible resilience in Alma's mother, though. A strength Alma would have seen, maybe absorbed.
Definitely. Then there are her brothers, Arnie and George. George sounds like a typical older brother.
Bullying.
Yeah, some of that, but protective underneath. Like, he could give her a hard time, but nobody else better try.
Yeah, that rings true. That complex family dynamic, loyalty was huge, wasn't it? Looking out for your own.
And despite the poverty, which is clear, Alma keeps coming back to the love, the community feel. Her mother worked constantly. At the mill, Greengate and Irwell, then cleaning jobs, morning and evening. Her father, periods of unemployment, the dole work, which sounded grim, then later on the railway, the docks, just constant striving.
It's a really vivid picture of working class life then. The sheer hard graft, the uncertainty of work, feeding a big family. It underscores the economic reality they lived in.
But even with the struggle, those little rituals mattered, didn't they?
Oh, definitely.
Friday nights, the Rialto Cinema, the posh picture, how she calls it.
Right.
And before that, the essential stop at the Little Gem sweet shop.
Those little joys, they sustain you, don't they? Especially as a kid. Create those lasting memories.
Absolutely. And her father telling bedtime stories.
For memory.
Yes. Bringing the characters to life. Red Riding Hood was a big one. It just shows his kindness,
Yeah.
nurturing their imagination despite having very little money.
It really highlights that a rich childhood isn't just about stuff. It's about love, attention, stories, imagination.
Even her memories of nursery school, Blackfriars Nursery, are so specific.
The folding beds?
Yes.
Oh.
And the outdoor toilet. Very basic.
Yeah.
But then this kind teacher, Miss Maxwell, who Alma thought was Snow White.
That's lovely. Shows her imagination already.
And the head teacher, Miss Rothwell, telling stories about China.
Those details really ground you in the time, but also show Alma's observant nature.
Oh, and the rocking horse story. That tubular steel thing.
Embarrassing moment.
Totally. Too tall to get on it properly,
Yeah.
and needing the loo desperately and being stuck.
Oh, no.
And her older brother has to come and rescue her, grumbling all the way home.
Classic sibling interaction, sometimes tormentor, sometimes reluctant helper.
We hear about her older sisters working, too, as machinists. Honesty Clothing Factory.
Reflects the local industry, doesn't it? The rag trade was big there.
Yeah, and those rare visits to Uncle Albert in Droylsden.
Seemed posh.
Exactly. A semi-detached house. And his wife Gertie, who is a bit like the Queen Mother, apparently.
Those little glimpses of a different life, maybe a slightly more comfortable one.
Back home, though, space was definitely tight. Sharing bedrooms.
No central heating, of course.
Gaslight. That radio powered by an accumulator. Listening to Tommy Handley, it's such a different world.
It's a stark reminder, isn't it? How much everyday life has changed. Things we just take for granted now.
And then, everything changed. The announcement. War.
Yeah. A massive turning point for everyone, but especially for a child growing up then. Her childhood was about to be completely reshaped.
And it happened almost immediately, didn't it? Evacuation. September 1939.
Mm-hmm. She was just 5.
Those little suitcases, the labels pinned on their coats, allowed one toy. Her brother crying beside her on the bus. It sounds so chaotic. Exciting maybe, but terrifying too.
That initial sense of adventure she mentions, thinking it was a trip to the seaside, must have vanished pretty quickly.
Yeah, the reality of being separated from her parents, that loss of control, must have been deeply unsettling for a kid.
And arriving in Carnforth, that assembly hall, the bag of food, and being chosen.
That image she uses, like cattle in a marketplace.
It's powerful. Really underscores how vulnerable those children were. It sounds so impersonal, even if the intentions were good.
Luckily, her actual experience with the family she stayed with seems okay, mostly positive.
Yes.
She talks about seeing proper grass, countryside for the first time, which, is amazing to think about.
A completely different world from Salford.
And the horse chestnut tree, sparking a lifelong love of Conkers. It's those little sensory details that stick with you.
It shows how even in difficult times, you can find little joys, new discoveries. Nature must have been fascinating.
And the Sunday visits to the host family's grandparents.
Filling a gap, as her own were gone.
Yeah. And even with rationing, they saved sweet coupons for her and her brothers. Had toys for them, that black doll she mentions.
Acts of kindness, that community spirit really shone through sometimes during the war. Small things meaning so much.
Even her brother Arnie being protective in the playground in Carnforth.
Same old Arnie. Teases her at home but defends her against outsiders. That loyalty again.
The parents' visits by coach must have been everything.
Oh, absolutely, a lifeline.
And their relief seeing her looking well-fed. Her first taste of bacon and eggs. Seems small, but says a lot about the differences in diet and conditions.
Yeah, regional differences, maybe class differences too, were probably starker then.
She was there September to December, probably happy to stay longer.
But Arnie wasn't settling on the farm.
Right. So they all had to go back. And that Christmas, her dad trying to make her a black doll like the one she'd seen.
But using black paint instead of brown.
Yes. And it ended up looking a bit rough. It's funny, but also really sweet, isn't it? His intention.
Absolutely. Trying his best with what he had, showing his love. The humor doesn't take away from the affection there.
And his handiness comes up again. Making toys a doll's house, a fort.
Repairing shoes.
Crucial skill when money's tight. They might not have had much money, but they had love, ingenuity.
Definitely. Necessity, invention, and bringing joy in tough times.
Back in Salford, the war effort was everywhere at school. Collecting scrap paper, milk bottle tops.
Trying to become a field marshal.
Yeah. A bit of fun competition.
Fostered that sense of contributing, didn't it? Even for kids.
Rationing was just life. Canadian apples were a treat. Concentrated juice instead of oranges. Meat was scarce.
Often saved for the dad, the main worker.
Yeah, kids dipping bread in the dripping. It's stark, but also shows how resourceful people were.
Food was such a focus. Making do.
Saturday mornings at the Arcadia Cinema were the escape hatch.
Laurel and Hardy. Three Stooges. Buck Rogers.
Yeah. But then the surreal side of mandatory gas masks, drills, competitions for who could put theirs on fastest.
Bizarre, isn't it? Entertainment mixed with this constant reminder of danger.
They had a street shelter in paradise, bunks inside.
That mad dash when the sirens went off.
Her mother, always wanting the bottom bunk, felt safer. Her dad was an air raid warden in Trafford Park. Home guard.
Think of the pressure. Doing that on top of a regular job. Those older men or men in reserved occupations.
Living under threat. The shelters offered some safety, but the fear, the disruption, it was constant.
And living in darkness. The blackouts, warden shouting, "Put that light out!"
Then the real thing, the Manchester Blitz. Losing power, water, gas.
Terrible.
Walking to water streets, sleeping near the underground canals for safety. Seeing the sky glowing red. The bombers overhead.
Incredible memories. The loss of basics, the fear. But she says she wasn't afraid, being with her parents.
Yeah, finding comfort even then. And the bomb sites becoming playgrounds.
Almost unimaginable now. But kids adapt, find ways to play, though dangerous, of course.
Eventually they moved. Lower Broughton. Slightly bigger house.
Still no inside loo, though.
Nope. But they got electricity. That was a step up.
A real luxury, though.
And the end of the war. The lights coming back on all over Manchester.
Must have been incredible.
Everyone out in the streets, celebrating all night. Pure joy and relief.
After years of anxiety and hardship, a return to hope.
But even in that celebration, such tragedy for her family. Nellie's husband, John, killed in Italy.
Heartbreaking.
And then, Nellie herself, followed by Lillian and Edith, all died from TB by the end of the war.
All three sisters. Devastating. And a stark reminder of how dangerous TB was then, especially worsened by wartime conditions.
And Alma herself got it later, didn't she? Adds another layer.
It really does, that shadow hanging over the family.
So post-war, a new era. Alma passes the 11 plus. Big deal then.
Huge. Open doors.
She goes to Broughton High School. Could have gone to Pendleton, but the journey was too complicated. 2 buses.
Practical considerations.
And at Broughton, lots of Jewish girls from wealthier families. That's when she first really noticed the economic differences.
A new awareness. Moving into secondary education often broadens your social horizons, makes you see those contrasts.
Yeah, the school building itself sounded grand. An old Greek embassy, huge fireplaces.
Old?
Yeah. And next door, the prep school. Lots of the Jewish girls went there. Focused heavily on 11 plus prep.
A different world from her primary school.
Totally. She actually failed the first time. But a teacher helped her, coached her. She was the only one from her primary to pass second time around.
Shows her determination and the difference a dedicated teacher can make, but also highlights those inequalities in preparation.
She made a good friend there, though, a Catholic girl from the prep school.
Despite the ease and them atmosphere back then, sectarian issues.
Yeah, but they bonded over reading, met at the library every day.
2 books a day each, and swapping.
Amazing. Shows how shared passions can cut through prejudice, doesn't it? That connection over books.
Literature really clicked for her. Macbeth, Merchant of Venice, seeing Donald Wolfe as Shylock.
Powerful stuff.
Yeah.
And Jane Eyre, loved it. Finish it in a couple of days.
To her dad's annoyance when she ignored chores.
Exactly. Shows that rich inner life, that intellectual curiosity growing.
And her dad, even though not a reader himself, kept up the traditions. Halloween apple bobbing.
Coffee apples.
Yeah.
Bonfire night.
Yeah, and working overtime to buy her that tennis racket and hockey stick.
So touching. Recognizing her wanting to fit in, participate like the other girls. Showing his support.
Definitely. Then, a big moment, meeting John, her future husband.
She's about 14. Playing tennis, then off to meet her then-boyfriend, Bernard Holman, at the cricket club.
And the broken tennis racket incident.
Yes. With the creative excuse involving sticking plaster for her dad. Very teenage.
Totally relatable awkwardness.
Their first walk together, she felt a spark. He was taller than the other boys she knew.
And the quick dash home so her dad wouldn't see her talking to a boy.
Classic. She started seeing him around more, learned he worked at Lubin's, cutting rainwear, went to St. Boniface's school, learning his trade at night school, as he hadn't passed the 11 plus.
So their connection starts building within that local community context. You get a sense of his background, too.
She'd see him sometimes at the milk bar, but he was often off playing sports.
Too shy to say hello directly?
Yep. Talked to his friend, Richard Chidgey, instead.
Those little, almost accidental steps towards knowing each other?
She left school with her school certificate. Got a distinction in art.
Her teachers even bought some of her work.
Yeah. Miss Foster and Miss Frost. She clearly had talent, like domestic science, biology, French, even a bit of Latin.
But it felt a bit different from her friends sometimes, being the only one with homework.
Yeah, that sense of maybe heading down a slightly different path.
But she kept up the art as a hobby, painting gifts, Christmas cards. Still does them today, apparently.
That's lovely. Then a temporary job, wages office at a mill on Ordsall Lane.
Enjoyed earning her own money.
Yeah, that feeling of independence, which was good preparation, really, for what came next.
Which wasn't easy.
No. She was 17, starting to notice boys, be noticed.
Yeah.
And then she got TB.
Such a blow, especially with the family history.
The signs came on, slowly falling asleep at work, then coughing blood.
Terrifying.
And the diagnosis, TB in both lungs. You just can't imagine what her mother must have felt.
Oh, God. Having lost 3 daughters already to it. The fear must have been overwhelming.
Her mom cared for her at home first, giving the streptomycin injections, the PAS capsules.
That horrible tasting powder in rice paper.
Yes, her mom even tried using grapes to mask the taste. Just unwavering dedication. Alma clearly admires her mother's strength so much.
You can feel it. And that care, that bond in such a vulnerable time.
Even visitors from the office brought sweets.
Yeah.
And Alma used the wrappers.
To make collages.
Yeah, finding ways to be creative, occupy her mind, even when so ill. Shows that resilience again.
Definitely. But eventually she had to go to the sanatorium. Nap top.
Feeling like a pincushion from all the injections. And finding out 100 was the norm. Must have been soul-destroying.
This sheer grind of the treatment back then, long, uncomfortable, isolating.
Arriving so ill, she got a single room straight away. The conditions sound harsh. Stable doors kept open for fresh air.
Even in winter. Frozen water jugs.
Yeah. While seriously ill, it's hard to fathom.
The doctor even told her mom how sick she was, stopped her in the street.
Wow. Her dad visited regularly, though, despite the long journey from Salford to Marple.
Those special visitors' buses shows his commitment.
She was the youngest patient there. The strict routine, the slow stages of recovery, bed rest, sitting up, getting dressed.
A whole world with its own rules. Being the youngest must have made it harder, more isolating, perhaps.
And that really sad moment where she accused her dad of putting her there because they didn't want her.
Understandable, maybe, coming from fear and feeling abandoned, but...
Yeah, she regretted it deeply later. Knew how much he cared.
She was there for 12 months, a whole year.
Towards the end, Dr. Harrison offered to train her as a radiographer.
Linked to her art skills, maybe? Detail-oriented?
Possibly. But the thought of another year there, she just couldn't face it.
Understandable. She just wanted out. Freedom to earn money.
Yeah, the appeal had totally gone. Getting weekend leave at Christmas must have felt amazing.
A taste of normal life.
She eventually shared a room with an older girl from Ardwick, a rough diamond, who thought Alma was posh.
Huh. Contrasting backgrounds.
Life started to improve a bit. She even got a boyfriend there.
Ah, the sanatorium romance. Ken Wright.
That's him. Started over a football card, bonded over books like Kon-Tiki, wrote letters after he left.
Regular visits on Wednesdays. Sounds like he was quite keen.
Very. But his background was very different. Father was a solicitor.
Class differences again?
Yeah. Alma felt insecure about her working-class roots when he invited her to his 21st birthday.
She felt she didn't have anything suitable to wear.
Exactly. And she just reconnected with John by then, which made declining easier. But she kept Ken's letters. They were beautifully written.
Sounds like a significant connection, even if it couldn't overcome the social gap. Keeping the letters tells you something.
Before Ken, there was Paddy Lundy. Met him selling dinner tickets.
Irish. A teacher.
Yep. Bit of a misunderstanding about meeting up. He got funny for a while. Wrote again when she got ill.
But I got too serious.
Yeah. And she knew her mom wouldn't approve of her marrying an Irish Catholic. So she ended it. Made up a story about meeting someone in hospital.
Wow. Social and family pressure is playing a big role in relationships then.
Then a few others, her brother's friends tossing a coin to see who'd walk her home. Her brother Arnie disapproved.
Protective Arnie again.
And Ron Krellin from a Girl Guide trip to the Isle of Man, which involved sneaking off to the pictures instead of hiking.
Haha. Bit of teenage rebellion.
But once things got serious with John, all that stopped.
So reconnecting with John, she was still going to the chest clinic, right, for treatment?
Yeah, lung collapse procedures. And they just bumped into each other again. He didn't recognize her at first.
Do I know you?
Yeah.
After her illness, maybe she looked different.
Must have been a bit awkward.
Yeah.
Then Bernard Holman walked her home one night, And John obviously asked his friend Richard about her.
The wheels start turning.
Soon after, John started waiting for her after work, on his bicycle.
Very classic image.
She found out he was doing his national service. Due back at Colchester camp, they swapped addresses.
And that was the real start.
His letters weren't as romantic as Ken's, apparently.
He even admitted swapping letters with a mate sometimes, not sure what to write.
Then things got really dramatic. He was nearly sent to Korea.
Wow.
Came home without leave, impulsively. Then his father died, very suddenly.
Oh my goodness, what a time.
He got compassionate leave then, and as the only son of a widow, he didn't have to go to Korea.
Fate intervening in a way, a terrible way, losing his father, but it changed his path. And theirs.
He got transferred closer to Oswestry, which meant more visits home.
So their courtship could properly begin. Pictures, dancing.
Which she loved after being cooped up in the sanatorium. Blackpool Tower ballroom trips.
Sounds like fun, getting back to normal life.
John was a good dancer, apparently. Took lessons over at Taylor's shop.
Taught her.
Yep. They got married September 3rd, 1955.
Her mother wasn't overjoyed.
Not entirely, because he was Catholic. And she thought he was a bit selfish with all his sports commitments.
But young marriages were common then.
Very. Hard for single women to get mortgages, rent. Societal pressure, too. John wanted a Catholic wedding. St. Boniface's.
So Alma had lessons.
Yeah. Learned about Catholicism. Agreed the kids would be baptized Catholic. Though her own faith wasn't as strong later on. The priests used to visit to check they were going to Mass.
Wow, really? Shows how involved the church was.
Their reception was over a pub near the racecourse. The men nipped out for a race.
Huh. That sounds about right for the time.
Honeymoon plans? Torquay for a week, then Newquay? Long drive back then, no motorways.
An adventure in itself.
And then the missing suitcase.
Oh, yes. John's casual clothes left behind.
Had to buy an emergency shirt at Woolies with separate stiff collars and send a postcard asking his mom for a postal order to get his stuff sent down.
Oh, dear. Not the smoothest start.
Apparently not. But she says it was a lovely honeymoon despite that.
Good humor, essential in a marriage, right from the start.
When they got back, they moved in next door to John's mother. Into the vacant house, paid towards the mortgage.
Her dad did the decorating. Always handy.
Always. But Alma found it really hard living so close to her mother-in-law.
Lack of privacy. Feeling watched.
Yeah, feeling dependent still. She even took her washing around to her own mom's.
That says a lot. Trying to maintain some independence.
Things came to a head. An argument with John, his mom got involved. Alma threatened to leave.
Actually stayed with her Auntie Lily for a bit.
She did. But their friends, Ethel and Sam, helped patch things up. They knew they needed their own place, properly separate.
A common issue for newlyweds living close to family.
Soon after that, she found out she was pregnant with their first son, John.
Maybe that provided a new focus, a reason to really make their own unit work.
Could be. Though apparently John was more worried about the TV aerial installers while she was in labor.
Huh. Men. Priorities.
Their son, John, was born. 10 days in hospital. He had feeding problems early on, which was scary.
Those early worries with a newborn are intense.
Took him home after 2 weeks. Still a fussy eater, apparently.
Some things never change.
Back at the mother-in-law's, Alma asked if they could use the front room for more privacy.
Asserting her space.
Yeah. Got rid of the old furniture, bought modern stuff. Alma made curtains. Finally felt she could invite friends around.
Creating their own nest, even within that house.
She looks back and thinks maybe she could have been nicer to her mother-in-law then. Said their relationship got much better later.
Hindsight, isn't it? You gain perspective over the years.
When baby John was about 8 months old, they got the chance to buy their own place. Earl Street.
For 500 pounds.
Amazing, isn't it? Move their stuff with a rag and bone man, horse and cart.
Wow. A real step up, though. Their own home. Financial independence starting.
The decor wasn't great, dark green and brown. Alma went back to work in Erskine. Heap to help pay for it all.
And had that little moment of glamour. The beauty competition.
Oh, yeah. Her aunt entered her secretly. Daily dispatch competition. She was a finalist, won a brooch. Did a few others after that.
A bit of fun amidst the hard work.
Definitely needed. Alma earned £5 a week. John, £10. Her mom helped with baby John, still struggling with his feeding.
Grandmas are lifesavers.
Alma used her wages for wallpaper. Dad did the decorating, made a garden. Still had an outside loo, though.
Common then, but hard to imagine now.
They got a big tiled fireplace from John's boss, too, making the place their own bit by bit.
Then Alma changed jobs again. To the tobacconist shop.
Yeah, John's mother's shop, under a railway arch in Manchester. With the little books they sold, packed tobacco every night.
Sounds quite atmospheric, then. News.
Big news. Pregnant again with twins.
Wow. A surprise.
Huge surprise. She hadn't been seeing the doctor much, just the clinic. Doctor was surprised, too. The scan showed twins, interlocked. They'd hunted a single pram.
Oh, my goodness. Double trouble coming.
Susan and Denise arrived 6 weeks early. Bit of a rush. Doctor hadn't even covered his shoes.
Denise, named after a character in her French textbook.
That's right. She was advised not to breastfeed, went home after 10 days. The baby stayed in till they gained weight.
Must have been hard leaving them.
Yeah, she went in every day to help feed them expressed milk. They had jaundice, but it cleared up okay.
Then the neighbor, Miss Owen, Auntie Annie.
Became like family, didn't she? Loved the kids. Sunday visits, playing cars, the fur stole, Foxy.
Sweet memories. Though Susan was upset when Alma later gave Foxy away.
Yeah, Alma thought her own mom was maybe a tiny bit jealous of Auntie Annie's closeness.
Complex family dynamics.
Auntie Annie even took the kids on train trips to Blackpool.
What a lovely neighbor to have.
Alma's mom still helped loads, of course, walking the twins in the pram. Alma met another mom with twins at the clinic. Shared experience.
Finding solidarity, Valerie, another neighbor, helped with walks too.
And poor John, having to walk alongside the double pram with 3 kids.
Quite a picture. Then the business idea started.
Yeah. John was working for a guy called George Williams, making rainwear in a converted church.
Unusual premises.
He was offered 20 pounds a week. The twins got a nursery place meant for older John, actually. Alma started working for George, too, doing wages.
So they were both working there.
Yeah. But George was apparently off and off. Pub, nightclub, Jimmy Mawson ran the office. George wanted to buy another factory.
And Alma, John, and Jimmy thought, we could do this ourselves.
Exactly. Decided to strike out on their own. John cutting, Jimmy dealing with buyers, Alma doing part-time wages around the kids.
Bold move.
They got orders, found premises' old canning factory, Broughton Lane, borrowed money from savings, and a friend, John Lang.
Took a risk. Launched Belvedere Weathercoats.
Named after Broughton High School's nickname.
Yeah.
Made ladies' raincoats. Got into Debenhams. Lewis is successful quite quickly.
So John wouldn't do kids' coats. Interesting.
Yeah. George Williams tried to stop them trading locally, but it didn't work.
Competition's tough.
Their son John joined them after school. Learned cutting. They moved premises again, Cobden Street. Top floor of a co-op over a bakery.
Getting orders from House of Fraser by then. Moving up.
Alma even did deliveries in her own car. Fast service was key. Got into Rackham's, too.
Then the big London order. 26,000 pounds.
Huge. Celebrated with the Wimpy.
Ha-ha.
Yeah.
Keeping it real.
Their Beth buyer was Mara Dixon from the Northeast. London buyers more cautious. Had an office girl, Beryl. Alma got more involved in the factory side.
While John and Jimmy did business trips abroad, Kenya.
Yeah. Alma stayed home looking after kids in the business.
A lot to juggle. She felt a bit unrecognized later in John's book.
Yeah, her friend Barbara pointed it out too. Understandable, really, given how much she clearly did.
Then the Burberry contracts. Big time.
Very lucrative, but demanding. Lots of checks. Their daughter Susan joined the business too eventually.
But Alma was still called on. Covering shortages, doing lunches.
Always.
Yeah.
Rarely got a day off, even when she took up golf later. Always sorting things out.
The backbone of the operation, sounds like.
So, alongside the business growing, the family was growing too. They sold Earl Street, moved to Douglas Road in Swinton.
The house with the cherry blossom tree and greenhouse.
That's the one. Then son Mark was born, 1965, at home. Her only home birth. Good baby, she says.
Then another move, 1969, Myrtlewood Drive.
Yep, opposite a garden center. Youngest son Paul, born June 1970. At Hope Hospital this time.
She remembers seeing the house being built, noticing a missing window.
Huh. Attention to detail. Life there sounded busy. Lots of kids around. Coffee mornings. Friends with the garden center owners.
Paul's birth at Hope was different. Shorter stay.
Much shorter. Just a day. John was there apparently trying to decorate the lobby while she was having contractions.
Oh, John. Same midwife, though, Nurse Barry.
Yeah. Alma decorated Paul's room herself.
Yeah.
Still doing wages, visiting the factory, juggling it all.
They bought Myrtlewood Drive for 7,000 pounds, then decided to build.
Yeah. Looked at a plot for 2 houses, ended up just buying the land on Septon Drive. 2,500 pounds cash.
Wow. Then designed and built number 12. Architect, warm air heating, 2 bathrooms. Quite modern.
And Alma sold Myrtlewood Drive herself for 14,000 pounds.
Good negotiator.
Seems like it. She felt content then. Home, family, business.
Pretty much, yeah. Though she mentions John wasn't big on gifts usually.
But occasional surprises. The diamond necklace from Israel. Yeah. Representing long life, happiness, a thoughtful one.
So life's busy, family's growing. Holidays must have been something.
Oh, definitely. Devon, Payton, often with both grandmothers. Car packed full, no seatbelts.
Different times. And John never passed his test, forged a signature in the army.
Apparently so. Cheeky.
Then the disastrous UK holiday. Bad weather, anxious mums. Alma got ill.
Kidney infection. That was it for UK holidays. Vowed never again.
So camping abroad became the thing. France.
Yep. Brittany first, but often ended up on the Côte d'Azur. Long drives, ferry, no tunnel, no flying, all booked everything.
The kids loved those. Best holidays.
That's what she says. Really cherished memories.
Alma passed her own test when Paul was a baby.
Yeah, finally. Give her more freedom. Driving kids to swimming, friends.
Then son John in his motorbike phase.
Speeding tickets. Lost his license for a rust hole.
Oh, dear. And Alma driving the pink Jaguar.
Much to John's embarrassment.
Uh,
And Denise hated being picked up from school in it.
Ha ha ha. Poor Denise. She used to help John with his motocross, though. Towing the trailer, dealing with accidents.
All the time. Frequent calls about crashes. Apparently Denise used to stop girlfriends going with him to hospital.
Acting as gatekeepers. Lots of girls hanging around the garage, too.
Sounds like it. He had sponsors for his motocross. Then Mark borrowed his three-wheeler Honda.
And drove it into the canal, injured his leg.
Yep. And Susan wouldn't let him in her car afterwards. Not much sympathy there.
Mark also knocked himself out on a snowslide. Concussion. Kept asking the same questions.
Yeah. And baby Paul drinking paint thinner. Terrifying for Alma.
Brought back memories of her father and the carbolic acid incident.
Exactly. Rushed him to hospital. He was okay, thankfully.
Yeah.
But Paul also got tipped out of his pram by the twins.
Sounds like a very accident-prone family.
Seems like it. And John's grocery shopping attempts weren't great either. Lots of scares, lots of chaos, but lots of love, too.
The twins, Susan and Denise, different personalities.
Very. But both loved horses. Pony Club.
Oh.
Fabian, Sultan, Siddiqa, Romany, the wild one.
Horsebox, shows. The home movie of loading Romany sounds hilarious.
Romany threw Susan off once. Small jump. And the twins, seeing a naked man in the woods.
What? And reporting it. Susan noting his stripy socks.
Incredible detail.
Yeah.
For Alma, who'd always wanted a pony, seeing her girls enjoy it fulfilled her own childhood dream.
That's lovely. Then later in life, around 1980, Alma took up golf.
Yeah, with friends. Pat, Chris, Lil. Join the local club as social members first.
Friends taught her, practicing in the living room.
Seems so. Made friends with Bob and Linda Longworth. Linda encouraged her to play competitions. Use that beginner's handicap.
Smart move.
She got really into it. Weekly competitions. Handicap came down fast. Her neighbor Carol joined too, impressed by Alma.
Then she became lady captain.
Yep, had to sort out an extensive sweater order the previous captain messed up. Then, 5 years later, president of the Northwest Golf Association.
Wow. Quite an achievement, and won the Northwest Knockout.
Played the final right after a trip away, won on the last hole.
Hmm.
Really enjoyed being present.
Great golfing career then. But it had to stop eventually.
Osteoporosis. Knee operations in 2012. Didn't want to play from a buggy, so she gave it up.
Principal decision. Around this time, health issues started becoming more prominent.
Yeah. Continued pain after the knee ups, diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. Medication helped. Eye problems stopped her driving.
And John started showing signs of forgetfulness, about 6 years before she wrote the memoir.
Yes. At work. Caused friction with Mark and his newer ways of doing things. John started making mistakes with orders. Early dementia suspected.
Difficult situation at work. Their friend Barbara had to mediate sometimes.
Yes. John tried starting a small internet coat business with help from Susan and Paul. Then he had 2 strokes on warfarin.
And the Burberry work was drying up.
Yeah. They'd seen other firms go under when that happened, so they decided to close the factory.
End of an era. Alma wanted to retire to the lakes.
She did, but the kids didn't want her to move away.
Then John's health really declined.
Fading, losing weight. They went to Tenerife for a break.
But it didn't help.
No, he got worse there. Needed a wheelchair, then couldn't get out of bed. Legs went black, being sick. Doctor worried. Stressful getting home early with Thomas Cook.
Must have been awful. Back home, the family realized how serious it was.
Took him to A&E. Renal consultant diagnosed kidney failure. Shocking it hadn't been picked up before. Arranged dialysis.
Family meeting to discuss options. Paul fainted.
Yes. John decided against dialysis in the end. Consultant agreed it was the right call for him.
So they took him home. The bungalow helped.
Made things easier. But the last 2 years were very hard. Dementia really took hold.
Living the past. Asking when are we going home? meaning his childhood home.
Yeah, constantly. Disrupted sleep, wandering at night, trying to get dressed for imaginary appointments. Falls.
Had to get carers in at night.
Yes. He faded quickly towards the end. Denise stayed over. He passed away peacefully early one morning.
Alma felt the doctors weren't much help then, but relief, he wasn't suffering anymore.
That's the sense you get. Relief mixed with the grief.
Then the memoir moves towards reflecting on her family, taking pride in them all.
Immense pride. She talks about each of them. Son John in the lakes, his holiday led, his own health issues, caring for his mother-in-law with dementia.
His son Sean, his marriage, John meeting Charlotte, her son Sam, their son Ben, Sam moving to Ireland.
Yes. Then the really devastating part. Losing her daughter Susan during the pandemic. Devastated. Her brother John couldn't believe it.
Alma recounts Susan's life, too. Her first marriage, the difficulties, her children, Peter and Charlotte, then meeting and marrying Peter Coleman, their daughter Amy.
Yeah, proud of Charlotte and Amy's careers. Charlotte's wedding at the Savoy, grandson Peter, his daughter Audrey, Peter Coleman's closeness to them.
And Charlotte's children, Rory and Cecily. She was pregnant with Rory when Susan died. Such a difficult time.
Then daughter Denise, the designer, married Andrew, her children Patrick and Annie, renovating properties.
Son Mark married Joe, daughter Liberty, stepdaughter Jessica, grandson Logan. Mark built Jessica a house.
Son Paul, partner Annette, children Abby and Jaden. Paul sold his IT business. She's proud of all their paths.
Then she reflects back on her own parents.
Her mother's incredible resilience, all those losses. Infant deaths, TB deaths, Alma's own TB, her brother's.
Staggering. And her father's kindness, his love, the toys, the stories.
Deep gratitude and love for them both. She feels her own children surpassed her and John in education and life. Proud of that.
And their closeness now. Paul and Mark supporting her after a recent accident.
Her ultimate pride is in the grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Wants them to know how much she loves and values them.
It's a powerful ending, focusing on that legacy of family.
So wrapping it all up, what stands out? Resilience, definitely. Hard work, that entrepreneurial spark.
The power of family bonds, absolutely. Adapting to huge changes over her lifetime.
From Paradise, Salford, in the 30s, through the war, building a business, raising that big, lively family. It's quite a journey.
Her experiences really echo that generation, don't they? The war's impact, post-war shifts, building something for the family. It resonates historically.
For me, the memorable bits. Young Alma in Paradise, her mom's strength, the dodgy black doll, beating TB, starting Belvedere weather coats, that chaotic, loving family life.
And the pride at the end. It's a really rich life story.
It makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How much extraordinariness there is in what might seem like an ordinary life.
Absolutely. Everyday experiences holding remarkable strength, love, perseverance.
Her story, the mix of hardship and joy, it really hits home about human spirit, family connections across time. What parts connect with you?
Yeah.
You know, how does it maybe reflect things in your own life, the challenges, the good stuff?
Yeah, it shows how ordinary lives often contain the most amazing stories.
Definitely worth reflecting on the themes in her memoir, the history she lived through. Maybe it inspires you to look into your own family stories. There's probably amazing stuff waiting there, too.